Welcome to La Vida Rosa. I'm your host Pinky, and today I did not realize I was going to be recording a video. Okay, they dropped the reunion the day after decision day and I was completely caught off guard, so I quickly scrambled and watched the reunion, scribbled down some notes, and that's what this video is. So if you would like to see more, then just stay tuned. But before we begin, I would like for everyone to check out my website, lavidarosastyle.com. I forgot I didn't have any on, but the website features earrings like the ones I'm wearing in this picture. So make sure you check out the link down below, like, comment, and subscribe. And without further ado, let's get into this video. Like I said, y'all, I was extremely caught off guard. I thought I had a whole week before I had to record this video, but here we are. I'm gonna start with them individually, and then we're gonna talk about when they all came together. So first, let's start with Bennett and Amelia. So they're in Virginia, they're settled in, they have their place. It's not very big, but they're cozy and happy with one another. Amelia is going to be doing family medicine, and currently, obviously, she's in medical school. And shout out to Amelia for working at a hospital and being a doctor and helping in any way, shape, or form, because people that do work in hospitals and the health industry right now, y'all are invaluable. And also, Amelia has to work from 5 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. I can only imagine. Like, I know that's like a really heavy workload, and then on top of that, Henry has a job, y'all. Okay, he is a solar consultant and he is helping people to switch over to solar energy. So I was like, okay, all right. Did I say Henry? I meant Bennett. Okay, Bennett. I was proud of him for having a stable job. That's all we can ask from Bennett at this moment. He's been a good husband so far, so now he's bringing in some income. Good for y'all. I'm happy for them. The only problem is because Amelia works long hours, they really don't get a lot of time to spend with one another, because I can imagine, she's really tired when she comes home too. And they say including sleep time, they probably get to spend 9 hours together. They've tried to make time for one another, and there's been a conversation that they had to keep each other on the same page. So as long as they say they're good, fine. So it turns out that they live near her family, so at least they have some family around them that they can be around. They're not just isolated with just themselves. And yeah, and then they told the host that they wrote a song for him, and they proceeded to sing. It was literally like two little kids performing. You know how when you were a little kid and you would play a song and then you would just get up and perform the song, you would be singing on top of the already recorded vocals. That's kind of what they reminded me. And Bennett and Amelia, they have the spirit of a child. The way they express themselves is very childlike. And so I expected nothing less. They look happy. Look, if Bennett is happy, if Amelia is happy, then I'm happy. Okay, let's move on to Imani and Woody. First of all, Imani, she just looked amazing. Her makeup was flawless. She really looked so beautiful. She kind of reminds me of Maya from Girlfriends, Golden Brooks. They kind of look similar in the face to me when she's all done up. Both of them look great. They look very happy. She said that she's going to be taking his last name, and she would have already taken his last name if, we weren't in quarantine. She says that he's still just as romantic as he was in the beginning, running her baths and, being Woody. And I'm so happy to hear that he, is not just doing that for the cameras. He literally does that because he really cares about her. They said that their families really blended well together, and they really do love each other. And you could see that even at the wedding, even though it was they had just met each other, you could tell that their families seem to blend effortlessly. So I'm glad to see that is actually the case for them. So then they got to the point where Woody was going to surprise Imani, and he was literally sweating through his shirt. He was soaking wet. And they said the lights were hot. And I was like, well, I hope he wasn't like that nervous that he just started sweating that bad. Woody got on one knee. He got super emotional, started crying and talking about how much he loved Imani. And he said the show gave them a ring, but he wanted to give her her own special ring that was tailored to her. And I just, you know, Woody, if I wasn't like in such a rush, I probably would have had time to sit there and get in my feelings. But I was just like, you know, that was just you a good man, Woody. You a good man. Okay, let's move on to Henry and Christina. They asked him, you know, did they see him as a match with her? He said he could see it on paper, but he just never got that chemistry in person. And he said he didn't want to kiss her to give her the wrong impression. And I'm just like, okay, well, if you felt like that in the beginning, then you probably should have ended it way sooner than what you did. That's where I fault Henry. Like, if you weren't attracted to her, you knew you weren't attracted to her for the majority of the time since the beginning. Like, you never was attracted to her at all. And, you know, once y'all hit that, I feel like he should have cut it off when Brett cut it off. Because apparently when they did that whole meetup with the experts, like during quarantine, that was their halfway mark. That was their like halfway decision day, like they've been doing the past couple seasons. And I feel that's the day when Henry probably should have went ahead and broke it off with Christina right along with Brett, in my opinion. They haven't really been in communication since they broke up, and she's been in Mexico trying to avoid all the negativity. And she started seeing someone, and they asked Henry how does he feel. He said he's indifferent. And yeah, Henry said people's been in his DMs too, so he might be reaching back. It's like, okay, Henry, you might as well. I mean, it's not like you ever reached out for Christina, so you might as well. So let's move on to Miles and Karen. So they asked her about, you know, her behavior at the beginning and her feeling away after looking at Miles' Instagram or whatever social media before they got married, and just feeling strongly about not being attracted to him. Basically, she freaked out because he shared more on social media than she was used to a man sharing. And I'm just like, I still want to know, what did Miles say? Like, how come they didn't say what the post was, what it was exactly? I need to know, like, what was it that freaked you out that bad? Like, I think she was more so freaked out by the fact that, you know, she was getting married to a stranger. So as far as her being so reserved, she said she's just a reserved person, and she was trying to make sure she was true to herself and that she was comfortable. But she also didn't know that filming this process would be so hard. And Miles said he's not used to someone not returning his affection. Like, he's used to someone, you know, feeling the same way he felt about them. Then they asked him about him, you know, threatening to say no. And Miles said he was going to say no right up until he sat down on the couch. For all the people who said it was editing, for all the people who said, you know, their relationship was much better than what they showed, obviously it wasn't that great if on decision day he was still going to say no. And like, they can say whatever they want to say about, you know, well, they didn't show all our best moments. If you was gonna say no, it couldn't have been that great. And I can't admit, they probably do cut some things out and make Karen look worse, but I do think Karen was cold. And I think even, you know, she would say that. She said she was cold because she felt like he wasn't being completely real, completely honest. He wasn't showing when he was angry, and she wanted to see that in order to be more open. And to a certain degree, I guess that's understandable, but as cold as she was, it's like she wasn't giving anything to this process, and Miles was giving everything. And so as far as that goes, I stand behind everything I said, because even Miles didn't want to be married to her right up until they was finna say yes or no. Miles said that his needs are being met now, so I can only go based off of what he's saying. If he feels like he's happy with what Karen is doing, maybe Karen is putting in the work now. Maybe she saw herself on TV and was like, I need to, you know, I need to quit playing. This is a good man. You know, he does all this for me. Let me do some things in return. Like, for all I know, she's a completely different person off camera. Fine. But I'm not going to sit up here and believe y'all had such a great relationship and the editing was bad, but then on decision day, you still going to say no. Like, come on. Now they look happy. I have to admit they look happy, and I'm glad that they, I'm glad it worked out at the end of the day. I feel like if this were under normal circumstances and they've only had 2 months, I don't think they probably would have worked out, but they had that extra time and it did work out. And if he's truly happy, if she's truly happy, I'm not finna rain on nobody's married parade if they're happy. I can't judge that. That's on them. So at the end of the day, I'm happy. They said that her mom can't get enough of Miles, and I could tell at the wedding, like once Miles spoke his piece, I could tell that his mom really liked Miles. And shoot, Miles' mama probably got in her butt and told her, look, that's a good man, you better not let him go. I'm thinking the mom has something to do with it, okay, for her to be holding on to Miles that tight. Like, look, she might be talking crazy right now, but I'm finna hold you here until she figures it out. They don't plan on having kids anytime soon. I'm assuming they've, went ahead and consummated their marriage. They didn't make that clear. Karen apparently is really uncomfortable talking about that sort of thing on TV. And I'm like, have you never seen this show? Like, people like Iris and Karen, it ended up working out for Karen, but I just don't think they should sign up for a show like this if y'all are not willing to be completely open and talk about these things. You should have known, you should have at least watched a few seasons to know what you were getting yourself into. And I know she said, you never know. With the filming, yes, but with being open and telling all of your business, that's a reality show. That's what this is. That's what all of this is. Why I would never do it, because I'm very private, and so I would never tell all my business to the world. I wouldn't want my grandma to hear some of this. You know what I'm saying? If you know that, then you probably shouldn't sign up for the show. I'm glad it worked out, but if you're someone like Karen, y'all don't need to sign up for this show. Period. If you're private, if you don't want to share certain things, don't sign up for the show, because it's gonna make you look frigid and cold. That's gonna shape the way that you're received. Period. So Brett and Olivia, I think that at the end of the day, Olivia is mad because she has not been well received by the public. Even when they asked her about social media, she was like, well, it was good in the beginning, and then, I didn't like it. And that's because in the beginning, everyone was heavily critical of Brett, but then they started to see what you were doing wrong. You started getting some criticism, and now you don't like that. Okay, but we're so ready to villainize Brett, and Brett has done what he did at that bachelor party was trifling, yes, but within their marriage since then, Brett hasn't done anything to be villainized. And you know how they have on Twitter like the show villain and the real villain. I feel like Brett is a show villain, and I feel like Olivia is making herself out to be the real villain. Like, if she would stop being so defensive and so immature and snarky and snappy and passive aggressive with how she's acting towards Brett, then nobody would think that. But just the way you're acting, it's like you could see the anger all over her face. I feel like she just been sitting up reading what everybody's got to say, so she just on defense already. Like, she's already ready to defend herself when didn't nobody even ask her nothing yet. So Brett wasn't in the studio because his job mandated that they quarantine for C19. I think Brett just didn't want to be there because he didn't care to see any of them. None of them like Brett, and yeah, they just don't like him. So I think he just didn't feel like, getting all dressed up, getting up, getting out, risking C19 in order to see people he didn't even want to see. Olivia says she has no feelings for Brett. They asked what she learned. She said she learned what she stood for. She learns she wants someone who doesn't want kids. I told y'all she didn't want kids. I told y'all. She tried to slip that in real quick. But girl, you've been trying to act like, I didn't never say I didn't want kids. Now you realize you want somebody who doesn't want kids. I'm glad she's okay with being honest about that finally. if she probably would have been more forthcoming, or maybe knew herself a little bit better before she joined this show, she probably would have been matched with someone that could fit with her better. But because you were so iffy with your stance on that, I feel like that's a part of the reason why you and Brett were never going to work. If she were to have really known herself and known that about herself already, there's no way she could have been matched up with Brett. No wonder she got matched up with Brett and they were mismatched. She was acting like she was teeter-tottering when really you don't want kids. She also says she wanted someone who was into her for her, meaning that she doesn't think Brett was there for her, and she was just visibly like seething. She was so mad. She said when he moved out, he said she wasn't what he asked for, and what I think what Brett meant is that, you know, he wanted someone that wanted kids, and he wanted someone that he thought would be a little bit more compatible with him. He didn't have to say that, but I mean, it's the truth. She wasn't what he asked for. He wasn't what she asked for. I mean, that's just a fact. She felt like everything was surface level with their relationship, and Brett said it was surface level because neither were pushing it further. So neither one of them were like going deeper and giving each other like vulnerability, and they just lacked chemistry. And that's something you just can't account for when you're matching people up. You can't account for chemistry. Sometimes that's nobody's fault. It's just y'all didn't click. She knew she was never going to get intimate with him because of his personality flaws, him always being sarcastic and checking himself out in the mirror. And it's like, well, then why are you so mad? Why do you want to stay? Why did you want to work on it if you knew you were not attracted to him and you were never going to get intimate with him? You knew you were never. You said you knew that. Why would you want to continue? And why are you mad at him for cutting it off? Because it seems like from what you're saying, that's not matching your emotions, is that, you know, you already knew it wasn't going to work because you weren't trying to be intimate with him. But in this moment, you're having a terrible attitude about it. I just don't get that. Your emotions are not adding up with your actions or your words. He said he was attracted to her until he really got to know her. Shade. She's inflexible, she's judgmental, and she has this very strict criteria. And he said she just wanted someone to slide into her routine like an accessory. And I think we all saw that. She called him a jerk. I'm not gonna say the word she used, but basically she called him a jerk. And he feels he wasn't portrayed for how he really was. They asked him, has he been dating? And he said he's been on a few dates. And she said he's been matched with her friends. They sent her screenshots, and she said he wasted her time. He didn't really want to settle down. I mean, she was like so worried about his dating life, and she was disguising it as if, well, he acted like he wanted to be so frugal, but you're spending all this money on dates. It's like, girl, if they were your friends, why are they sending you pictures of them getting matched up with Brett all the time? If I knew my friend was trying to get over somebody, or, you know, that was her ex-husband, why am I sending that? That's messy. That's real messy. So I don't know, like, if I'm breaking up with somebody, I'm trying to get over them, I'm not going to want to see that all the time. I'm not going to want to hear and talk about, oh, he went on a date with this person. I see it all the time. Why are you so into it? You know what I'm saying? Like, she was so concerned about his dating life. Y'all are not together. Okay, so let's talk about them all together. Brett is definitely not liked by the cast. Everybody was just like very not here for Brett. And I can understand because of how he acted at the bachelor party. He flirted with Kristen the day before he was supposed to get married to Olivia. But I'm just like, y'all did not really confront him in the moment. Have y'all ever confronted him at all? Like, y'all have all this stuff to say behind his back. I mean, I guess now's the time to do it. But, and he wasn't there. So I guess, but I don't know. Like, they just had a lot to say about it. Henry was going in. It's like, Henry, would you have said all of this if Brett was here? Like, I understand, you know, being upset because that was your friend that he was doing that with, and you like Olivia and you felt like he was playing Olivia. He said he saw him for who he was and he was obnoxious. And he also said, you know, he said that continued on throughout their marriage. And I'm like, y'all were not even there for her marriage. Y'all only know her side of the story because y'all won't even talk to Brett. I believe Woody is the only one who keeps up with Brett, so how would you know? Olivia was disgusted by how he acted, and she thinks that he owes Kristen an apology. So it turns out that Woody and Imani and Miles and Karen, they live like right up the street from each other, probably a couple of doors down from one another. And they say they spend like every other day together, which I think is really cute. Imani said Woody be extra loud while he be getting ready, like he be playing music real loud like it's a party. So then they got serious and they brought up the gay accusation of what Christina did to Henry. I thought they were really messy for bringing this out in front of everybody. This really could have been discussed during their segment. I think Henry needs the crowd to get real crunk because he got real crunk during this sit down. She claimed she never thought he was gay, and Henry was making faces. She suspected that because she was having problems with production that they sent her that text message. Likely story. So Henry was basically setting her straight. This is all things we've already heard before. Henry was just getting her together, like, you definitely was holding that over my head. You definitely was acting like you believed the rumor. And you know, he was like holding her to task. He wasn't letting her lie. He wouldn't let her get away with anything. And Miles was just sitting up like a proud daddy. It was just like so happy that he was standing up for himself. It's like, Miles, maybe you can get a little something from Henry. I don't know. He said her story changed from a reliable source to all of a sudden, you know, it was an unknown number. And he said he knew for a fact that she told people about that. And Christina, that's really dirty for you to do. She actually told people. I can't believe she did that. At the last minute, she admitted that she was going to hold that over his head and blackmail him, but she claimed she didn't really believe it. It don't matter if you really believed it or not, I guess, because you were willing to hold that over his head, and it's jacked up to do. It really is. I thought it was hilarious when they asked whether Henry really thought there was a text or not, and he was like, at first he believed it, but then when she didn't produce one, you know, he was like, okay, clearly there isn't, and this is some sort of unorganized blackmail. I thought that was so funny. And then he put out there that not only had she been in a 5-year relationship and had only broken up with the man 8 months before joining this experiment. And back when I heard it back then, that was off to me. I remember like looking at her crazy, like, you just got out of a 5-year relationship. Why are you signing up for Married at First Sight? Like Henry said, you should take some time for yourself, and you know, you need a little bit more time, because if it was 8 months after that you got married, you had to have signed up pretty much at least 2 months after that breakup, and you're just not ready. And you can tell Christina is still holding on to a lot of issues that she might have faced, because Henry not only told that she was in a relationship for 5 years, 8 months before they got married, but he also said it was with a married man. And I'm just like, was taken aback. I didn't see the married man part coming. I did not know it was a married man. If you get in a situation like that, I can only imagine like how you feel about yourself. And he also said it was very toxic. And you know, Henry found all this stuff out, I think the night of the wedding. So if you hear all of this stuff about the person you just married, of course you're going to be looking at her like that's a huge red flag, and you're probably not going to be as into wanting to be as into the experiment and want to embrace the experience. And so I can kind of understand why Henry was standoffish now, but at the same time I feel like Henry, like I said before, should have cut it off way sooner if you felt that way. So at this point, Christina began to cry. I can only imagine. I mean, all of her cards are out on the table at this point. She's really embarrassed, I think, for that particular piece of information to be out, because she had been holding her composure, but when that came out, I can't even lie, I felt kind of bad. I did. I felt, and not because she was just crying. Obviously, it's hard to have all your business out there on Front Street that you were a mistress. I mean, I'm sure she experienced some sort of remorse for that, but you know, when you go out here blackmailing people, you kind of get what you put out there, you know? she apologized while she was crying, and he acknowledged the apology, but he doesn't know if he's going to accept, and that's on Henry. Like, if he don't want to accept that apology, he was really upset about that, and for the longest time she was denying that it even happened. So, you know, I can understand for him not to feel like it was sincere in that moment, and she's pulled that crying game before too, so I can understand for him not to, you know, want to forgive her right then and there. But personally, it felt like she was like sincere. She just want to let all of this stuff go and move on with her life. I believed her when she said that. Then we found out that Woody and Henry are actually really good friends, and you could kind of tell, like, during the show, like, Henry told Woody about her blackmailing him. Like, whenever they had some things to talk about, he would talk to Amani or he would talk to Woody. Woody said that he's much more outgoing than he seems. He be cracking jokes and taking shots and all kind of stuff. He's way more lively than he lets on. And Henry even made a joke that he's going to be replacing Miles real soon, because Miles said he called Woody one day and they were like out together to get drinks without him. And, you know, it's just really cute. I do think Henry needs someone like Woody in his life to help him bring him on out of his shell, like show everyone else your outgoing personality and actually approach a woman for once in your life, because he said he had never approached a woman. And then they started talking about how the women were after Miles, the Milettes. Where y'all at in the comments? Let me know where y'all at. Were y'all up in Miles' DMs talking to a married man? Have y'all been up in his DMs? Y'all ain't supposed to really be in his DMs now. We be over here talking crazy, but y'all in his DMs. He is married, y'all, so stay about Miles' DMs. He's still with Karen. Karen looked like she'd be regulating those DMs too. I think another reason why Karen went ahead and just gave in to Miles and holding tight to Miles, because she saw how much of a hot commodity he was in these streets. Okay, these women were coming after Miles. Who wants somebody that don't nobody else want? You know what I'm saying? Sometimes they can light a fire up under you, and I'm just like, okay, Karen. Anyways, you guys, that's it for my video. Y'all let me know how y'all feel down below. Did you agree with me? Did you not agree with me? I would love to hear your opinions. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in my next one. Peace.